What's up guys, Erroneous here with another Raid Shadow Legends video. In today's video I'm going to be going over the fact that I beat the Bannerlords faction Crypt. So pretty exciting news for myself, and I'm going to show you a video that I did make beating the Bannerlords faction Crypt, but the issue is I ended up accidentally starting the recording almost 3/4 of the way through. But either way, I still did beat it. First thing I'm going to do though is just go over the champions that I utilized when beating the faction Crypt and kind of go over their gear and the playstyle that I had. Now with the Bannerlords faction Crypt, as you know, it's not the hardest faction Crypt to beat, especially if you get good champions. Like Ursula the Mourner is a really good Bannerlord faction Crypt. If you recently did the fusion for Sigmund the High Shield, he's also an extremely good Bannerlord legendary champion. Unfortunately, I didn't get Sigmund the High Shield, and I don't have Ursula, so I did utilize Archmage Helmet, one of the best champions that I've utilized for this Crypt, and the reason why is because he's immune to turn meter decreasing effects. He's got the time slip, which helps with stunning the enemy waves. On the A3 he has increased speed, increased crit rate, and increased crit damage on your whole team. And on the A1 fills his turn meter by 10% and fills it by 20% if his attack's critical. And he has an aura in Arena. So that's kind of cool, but doesn't really help for faction Crypts. However, you can utilize this guy in Arena as a go first type person, and he does a really good job. And he's only level 50 on my account, rank 5, but I already did all his masteries. I just wasn't able to rank him up to rank 6. If I did, I would have went with War Master. That's how I suggest to do it. And for his gear, I put him in a regen set and accuracy because you want to make sure you have as high of accuracy as possible so you're getting those stuns off. He only has 195 speed, so he's a little slow for me. Okay HP at 40k. Very low on the defense for me, but I got the job done. And then for crit rate, over 100% there. So he needs 100% crit rate in order to get that additional speed boost of 20%. And you also need it if you attack all enemies if the first attack is critical. So you need to do that because you want to be able to get the stun off. So unless he has 100% crit rate, these abilities don't really work very well. So the next champion I utilized was Seneschal. So not a lot of people talk about Seneschal. Seneschal is actually a really good champion, and he's got this ability on the A3. It's called Lordly Challenge. You can also utilize him in Doom Tower against the Magma Dragon, and he's got this counterattack buff he places on himself for 2 turns, and a 50% chance of placing a provoke on all the enemies for 1 turn if you book it up to, if you book them. So it is 100%, 50% if you're not booked, but I do recommend trying to get his books in there. Hopefully you just get lucky and you just land on here. His second ability on the A2, Perfect Veil buff and a 15% continuous heal on an ally for 2 turns. This is kind of clutch, especially against stage 14, against the boss that hits really hard. So of course if you place a Perfect Veil, then the boss is not going to direct his attack at the champion that's already been attacked the first time around. So you really have to time the misdirect ability. So honestly, I think that for the Bannerlords, the boss on stage 14 is harder than the boss on stage 21, because when the boss on stage 14 is just smacking really hard, you need to have specific gear on your champions or to have them go extremely fast in order to beat that boss, or you have to have super high damage. And every time you hit the boss that slams really hard, he actually gains turn meter the more damage you do to him. So even if you made your champion super fast and a lot of damage, he could end up one-shotting one of your team. So with this guy Seneschal, he's going to help keep your team alive. Plus on his A1, he has a leech, so 40% chance to place if you book him out. I did book him. And then for his masteries, I tried to get as much masteries as I could, and I went down with, I would have gone with War Master if I got him to rank 6, but I didn't have to get him to rank 6, which is nice. The next champion I utilize is Valerie. So Valerie's a really good champion. I did make a video about 5 rare champions, or rare champions that you should 6-star for progression. And this is one of the champions that I would 6-star if I had to, but I didn't have to, which is nice. So you can just utilize her up to 50 and that's totally fine. I would go with War Master on her, and then I would go with the support tree to get Steadfast, I'll get Merciful Aid to help with healing and shields, because she does do a little bit of healing and shields. So the more buffs that you have on your team, on her Protect ability, she places a shield buff on all allies for 2 turns, and the shield depends on the champion's level and heals each ally according to a number of buffs. So the more buffs you have on your allies, the bigger the heal that she's going to be giving to all your team. So that's really nice. And then increase the Energizing Presence ability on the A2, increase the duration of all buffs on all allies by 1 turn, and also decreases the duration of all debuffs on all allies by 1 turn, and places a 25% increased attack buff on all allies for 2 turns. So this is a really good ability. You can actually utilize her if you wanted to in Clan Boss. Not highly recommended, but you could if you wanted to early game. And then the A1 is just attacks 1 enemy, nothing special about that. But the reality is she keeps your team alive, so she really helped me to be able to beat the faction Crypt on stage 21. And plus I don't have a reviver, so this really helped. The next champion I use is Gizkar the Sigil. So super good champion. This guy's awesome. I mean, this guy's got amazing abilities all the way around. I don't have him booked out at all, but he doesn't even need to be booked unless you want him to. So I'm probably going to build him for a defensive support team in Tag Team Arena or in Arena in general. He would actually do really well. So I did go with a defense and support tree on him. I put him in Selfless Defender and Bulwark so that he could take the damage all allies receive by 5%. And then on the Selfless Defender, decrease the damage an ally receives from the first enemy hit in each round. So he's going to be really good with this. This ability is going to be great for the boss on stage 14. Also really good for Arena, for dungeon waves, for other content, especially like you could do dungeons for, what's the guy, Ice Golem. Ice Golem smacks really hard with his abilities, so he can take the damage for you if you need it. And then I didn't complete all of his support masteries, but I went with Master Hexer to extend the duration of debuffs, and I went with Cycle of Magic here, so maybe that he can reduce a random skill, which would be nice. And then of course I went with Evil Eye to help decrease the turn meter. And I put him in a regen set as well. Of course you want him going fast, 50k HP, 3800 defense, 208 speed, 225 accuracy. I put him in decent amount of resistance so he can resist certain bosses. And then the next champion is Oathbound. So Oathbound's actually a really good champion as well. I did put him with as high of HP as possible. Good defense. He's actually my damage dealer. Now his crit rate is really low. It's kind of laughable, honestly, but he still does a pretty significant amount of damage. 223 accuracy, so he's landing those abilities. And then the Shatter ability on his A1 has a chance of placing a freeze. If I booked him out, he would have a 20, 30, 40, 50% chance, but right now he just has a 20% chance. So he's going to help against the waves to freeze them to CC. And then also on A2, he does a decrease attack, which is super important when facing the boss on stage 14. Again, I didn't book him out. I only got 1 book in him, but you don't have to book him out. You can get lucky RNG. So on this ability, he does have a 75% chance to decrease the attack of all enemies, and then 55% chance of decreasing each target's turn meter by 20%. Really clutch against bosses. Also, you can actually utilize him in other dungeons as well. If you wanted to put him in spiders too, you could decrease the spider's attack. You could decrease the big boss spider as well every 3 turns, which is kind of good. It's not amazing, but it's okay. And then Intimidate on A3, which is good against waves again. He's going to place the block active skills. Chance of block active skills debuff increases to 100% if the target's under a decrease attack, which is really cool. So I did put him in Retaliation, so he has a chance of counterattacking those waves every time he gets attacked, which is nice. And I put him in Speed Boots, of course. You're going to want most of your champions in Speed Boots. So there's the team. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys the fight. Again, it's going to be a pretty quick fight. It's just the end of the stage. I wish I would recorded it at the time, but right now the faction Crypt's not open, so I can't go in and just re-record it. It did take a very long time to beat the boss. I think it took me about 25 minutes, so unfortunately I'm probably not going to go and redo that entire battle. It just took a while. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you could subscribe to the channel, that would be fantastic. Leave a comment down below if you have any questions, or tell me what champions that you guys utilized on beating the Bannerlords. Take care.